All right, we are in this series going through Plato's Symposium. I'll try to keep it more brief than I did my last series, and maybe I'll keep this video more brief than the last video. And here I will begin with, here I will go to the beginning of the big conversation in Plato's Symposium. The last video went over the context and the conversation, some of the ideas and questions that come up when we're looking at that context. So we're at this famous drinking party, and it's all a flashback told by Apollodorus to us. And Apollodorus is giving us the version he got from Aristodemus, because Aristodemus was there, but Apollodorus was not. So it's all the flashback of a famous drinking party where some years ago Socrates and some other people gave speeches in praise of love. And Agathon is a writer of tragic plays, and his first play has just been successfully performed, and we're doing the, well, they already did the victory celebration. Now we're doing is the word after party, but the after party is the next day, and it's a heck of a party. It's an all-nighter with lots of alcohol and manly speeches in praise of love, and very manly indeed. We'll get to that in good time, I suppose. All right, so Socrates arrives a little bit late, and Agathon, who, as it happened, was all alone on the farthest couch, immediately called, "Socrates, come lie down next to me. Who knows, if I touch you, I may catch a bit of the wisdom that came to you under my neighbor's porch," etc. Socrates sits down next to him and says, this may be important. Look, they don't have tables like we do these days. Normal way to eat, to drink, to hang out at a drinking party is lying down, reclining on some sort of couch, or maybe some sort of arrangement of blankets and cushions on the floor. I'm honestly not all that familiar with the details. Here the term is couch. Agathon says, lie down on the couch next to me. Socrates sits down. That may be important, and it may not. I'm not going to share with you my crazy speculations. We'll get enough crazy as the story proceeds. Socrates sits down next to Agathon. "How wonderful it would be, dear Agathon, if the foolish were filled with wisdom simply by touching the wise. If only wisdom were like water, which always flows from a full cup into an empty one when we connect them with a piece of yarn. Well, then, I would consider it the greatest prize to have the chance to lie down next to you. I would soon be overflowing with your wonderful wisdom. My own wisdom is of no account, a shadow in a dream." That's nice language, and I'll skip the obligatory commentary on the cave analogy in the Republic and on the Matrix. My own wisdom is of no account, a shadow in a dream. Socrates denies being wise. Agathon seems to think Socrates is joking, which he may well be to some extent. "Now you've gone too far, Socrates. Well, eat your dinner. Dionysus will soon enough be the judge of our claims to wisdom." Well, we might analyze this as, I have something scribbled in my margins about how we might analyze this according to something about honoring the gods, dispensing with pleasantries, and then ascending to a philosophical conversation. And the conversation, the speeches will begin with poets, myths, religion, a climax at Socrates' speech on love of beauty, and that's more than enough preview of what is to come. But all this is to say, Dionysus. You know who Dionysus is? I won't say the Greek god of drunkenness. Let me just refresh my memory and see if there's a better way of saying this. I think Dionysus is associated with drunkenness, but it's better just to say Dionysus is the Greek god of drinking, or if you trust the internet, of I think Google is giving me Wikipedia here, winemaking and wine. Dionysus is the god of alcohol, and we are saying here, Agathon is saying here something like a joke. Well, I say you're wise and you say I'm wise. Shortly, we'll all be drinking too much, and then we'll see who's really wise, because maybe we'll all be idiots under the influence of alcohol. Something like that is perhaps the effect of the joke. Anyway, Socrates, there is some some eating. They eat dinner. They pour out a libation to the god. I believe that would be Dionysus. They sing a hymn, and a short follow the whole ritual. They do some religious rituals, paying their respects to the gods, and then they get down to drinking, and Pausanias addresses the group. Pausanias says, because what did I say? This is the after party, the day after. But Pausanias says, how can we arrange to drink less tonight? To be honest, I still have a terrible hangover from yesterday. So the first party, celebrating the first performance of Agathon's first tragic play, had a lot of alcohol. It went on for a while. There's still a hangover. And so Pausanias says, maybe we could go a little easier on the alcohol this time at the next party, the next day. Aristophanes, who is a writer of tragic comedies and is there. I think every one of these is a historical character. Aristophanes, well, I think you can still find some of his writings. Aristophanes says, good idea, Pausanias. We've got to make a plan for going easy on the drink tonight. I was over my head last night, and Eryximachus speaks up. I normally call him Eric. Eric says, how do you feel, Agathon? Are you strong enough for serious drinking? Agathon says, no. And Eric says, the large capacity drinkers are already exhausted. Imagine how weak drinkers like ourselves feel after last night. And then he says something about not drinking too much. And Eric is a doctor, and he's giving medical advice. Phaedrus is here. Phaedrus says, I always follow your advice, especially when you speak as a doctor. We could probably talk about that, but I just don't want to. And so Eric says, right before Eric, at that point they all agreed not to get drunk that evening. They decided to drink only as much as pleased them. Well, if they're going to drink as much as pleases them, I suspect some of them are going to get drunk, which is, in fact, how it goes. Anyway, Eric says, it's settled then. We're not going to force... Oh, well, that's the idea. We're not going to have any peer pressure saying, come on, drink some more wine. At that point, they all agree not to get drunk, but they also agree to drink only as much as pleased them, and no one's going to bother anyone else to drink too much. So, Eric, we're resolved to force no one to drink more than he wants. And that, of course, leaves open the possibility that some people will, even without peer pressure, drink too much. Now, Eric has this idea. Let us dispense with the flute girl who just made her entrance. Let her play for herself, or if she prefers for the women in the house, let us instead spend our evening in conversation. So Eric the doctor says, let's not drink too much, let's have conversation. Also, let's send away the flute girl. She can go hang out with the women if she wants to. Let's just have the men here having manly conversation. What sort of manly conversation? Eric suggests the subject, and he says the idea comes from Phaedrus. Phaedrus had recently talked to Eric about how the god of love, ancient and powerful as he is, has not been given enough attention by the poets. The god of love is a great god, a wonderful god, and we haven't given him enough honor. So Phaedrus had said that to Eric, and Eric now says, let's, if you agree, we can spend the whole evening in discussion. Let's spend the whole night talking, and I propose that each of us give as good a speech in praise of love as he is capable of giving in proper order from left to right. And let us begin with Phaedrus, who is at the head of the table and is, in addition, the father of our subject. And Socrates says, no one will disagree with you. No one will vote against that, Eric, says Socrates. How could I vote no when the only thing I say I understand is the art of love? Now, I think if you check the Greek, you'll find the word here is eros. If you've ever heard, if you're a churchy person, if you've read the right book by C.S. Lewis, maybe you've heard this distinction between different Greek words for love. This is not agape, this is eros. Eros often has a connotation of sexuality. So why is Socrates saying the only thing he says he understands is the art of love? Well, it's because eros is not exclusively sexual. At any rate, not the way it's used here. But it's very complicated, and at the risk of saying too much this early in the text, you could say one major aspect of this text is transcending sexual desire and moving past that towards a desire for something much higher, namely non-physical reality, and specifically the ultimate non-physical reality, which is beauty itself, the source of the beauty of all beautiful things. But also the pursuit of wisdom is implied. The pursuit of beauty itself and the pursuit of wisdom are the same thing, because to see beauty itself, the ultimate reality, would be the same thing as to have wisdom, and also to see the good itself described in Plato's Republic. You have to cross-reference these things. To some significant extent, although the literature is different, the words are different, the idea of Plato's Apology, where the pursuit of wisdom is ultimate, the idea of Plato's Republic, where the good itself is ultimate, and the idea of Plato's Symposium, where beauty itself is ultimate, these are all very closely related, if not saying the exact same thing. All right, so what's the significance of Socrates understanding the art of love? Well, it's probably little or nothing to do with anything sexual. It's about the love of wisdom. It's about having an eros for wisdom. All right. Aristodemus doesn't remember everything everyone says, but he remembers some. And Apollodorus will tell us what he thinks is most important from what Aristodemus could tell him. So now, God willing, inshallah, the next few videos will be one video per speech: the speech of Phaedrus, the speech of Pausanias, the speech of Eric. Then I think we go to Aristophanes, and then we do Agathon, I think, and then we do Socrates. Oh, and then we have to do the odd speech of Alcibiades, who shows up late. More on that when it's time. I don't think I've yet, in this video, used either the adjective gay or the adjective homosexual, but it's a thing. This is very much a thing in this play. There's a lot of talk about homosexuality, and the discussion of love, eros, is not just Socrates talking about love for some higher reality. There's also going to be some talk about Athenian homosexuality customs. So this book is awesome and hilarious, and calls for a whole lot of careful interpretation because there's so much going on in this story. I'll shut up now. Thanks for watching Speech of Phaedrus, God willing, next time.